victory of a war that is actually popular. You know, I had a poll yesterday from Quinnipiac, and I talked about the day before too, that President Trump has an 81% approval rating among Republicans. That's incredibly high, and that's among all Republicans, which includes the Never Trumper Republicans. And some idiot left me a message on one of my videos. He says, yeah, those are just Republicans. Well, who else is going to vote Republican in the midterm, right? Are the Democrats going to vote? The only poll that matters is the poll of Republicans. The Democrats aren't going to vote Republican in the midterms, and they hate Trump. Okay, so it doesn't matter what Democrats think. The only polls that matter right now are the polls of Republican voters. So last night at Turning Point, which I thought was a phenomenal speech, President Trump, he's now going to move on Cuba and liberate Cuba. You know, he mentioned this a few weeks ago. He wanted to wait to handle Cuba until Iran was taken care of, and we're in the final days of that. Mm-hmm. Wow, I can't wait. I'll be watching. And, you know, since I'm here in South Florida, when the action starts happening in Miami, I'll probably be taking some trips down to Miami, to the Freedom Tower, which is where a lot of Cubans get together for events like this. And the Freedom Tower in Miami is right next door to where the Trump Presidential Museum is going to be built. And I'll probably make some trips down to Little Havana, too, when that starts happening, because a dream will be coming true. You know, you can go to Little Havana any day of the week, and you'll see pro-freedom, you know, pro-liberation of Cuba protesters there. They've been there my entire life. And people make fun of them. Oh, they're still down there wasting their time. And look what's happening. It's actually happening. Now, if you'd like to call in, you're certainly welcome to do so. The number is toll free, no matter where you are tuned in. 888-465-2631. That's 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call, no matter where you are located. And of course, the Brian Craig Show podcast is available wherever you get podcasts. So wherever you listen to podcasts, you can pick me up. And if you want to catch the show live in video form, that's on YouTube. That's where you hear me taking the live calls every day. Just search Brian Craig Show on YouTube. Now, Victor Davis Hanson, I think Victor Davis Hanson is probably the most brilliant conservative mind in America today. Would you guys agree with that? Yeah, I mean, he's a very smart guy, and he was on Hannity last night. Mm-hmm. That's right. It is, you know, and what Victor Davis Hanson's talking about there is how the United Kingdom and France, mainly, a little bit of Italy. What's going on with Meloni in Italy? Do they got something on her? She's letting in illegals now, which was her major campaign issue against that. And what's going on with Meloni? But the UK and France are trying to take, well, now we're going to protect and liberate the Strait of... I have never seen such gall, arrogance, and just pure lying propaganda that I saw from France and England yesterday. as if they've liberated the world of Iran. I thought that was so bizarre to watch yesterday. And they're going through it. And I'm wondering, are they, this is what I was thinking, why are they doing this, right? Why is England and France doing this? And I think what they're trying to do is create a false historical record. They're trying to get in all the media that they were a part of this, and they figure once it's in the media, it'll be part of the historical record that England and France liberated the world from Iran and freed the Strait of Hormuz. I really think that's what they're doing. What do you guys think about that? It was a very bizarre move on their part. And, without question, it had to piss off President Trump. I mean, beyond imagination. If you're on hold, hang in there. I got a few things I want to get to, and then we'll get to some calls. So what's going to happen? Well, eventually, we're going to get the final peace agreement done. And I know there'll be some problems, and people from the Iranian military are going to say this and say that. And, there's a lot of things that are being reported as news that very well may not even be news. It just may be fake news propaganda that the Iranians are telling their own people. Like as an example, there's a story this morning. The Iranians are going to keep the blockade going. We're going to keep it going. There's a divide between the civilian and military leadership in Iran right now. They don't have a clear leader because most of their senior leaders have been killed, right? And since their major leaders have been killed, there's no real clear control over there. And a lot of the people that are left around, in particular in the military, are fanatical, lunatic. Well, they're religious fanatics is what they are. And they view the civilian government that made this deal with President Trump as complete traitors to the revolution, the Islamic revolution. And they're going to say this and they're going to do that, but they've got nothing. They got nothing. We've destroyed their Air Force. We've destroyed their Navy. What are they blockading the Strait of Hormuz with? Some speedboats? A pontoon boat? What do they got over there? What a change from when Obama was president and that Iranian boat captured American sailors. Remember that? What an embarrassment that was to the country. You're on the air. What's your name? Oh, hold on one second. I got to get everything set up. Hold on. I'm not quite set up yet. It's early. It's early and it's the weekend. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, you woke me up. I was in a deep sleep. I saw you coming on at 5:30, and
Oh.
I said, let me.
You got the YouTube notification. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. I like the fact that you're on so early in the morning. I'll never get any sleep here.
Yeah.
You don't get sleep, so I guess I won't get sleep.
No.
Listen, I'm going to say a couple. First of all, President Trump did the most. We have to be proud of our army and everything that's happened here. But I believe, and I don't believe. See, you're a history guy. Why did we drop 2 nuclear bombs on Japan?
To force them to surrender. They wouldn't surrender. We had to devastate them.
Right. Now, so because they were fanatics. Now the Germans.
Well, and they were religious fanatics. The Japanese.
And the Germans on the other hand, when Hitler killed himself or whatever happened to him, they scattered like rats and they went to Argentina. They hid out. They hid. They gave up basically. Okay. President Trump and Israel have completely obliterated their leadership. Now, you said that there's going to be a couple bumps in the road. Do you know they're hanging people at this point right now for being traitors and giving into the United States? And do you know that this negotiating team that President Trump's been working with, their lives are on the line?
Oh yeah,
their lives have been threatened.
Yeah, some of them may not make it to the next negotiations. They may be killed. Yeah, there's an internal almost like a civil war. There's a civil war going on inside Iran right now.
No, we haven't defeated the fanatics, and that's the problem here.
Yeah,
I mean, not for us. He's done all he can do, but it's not a bump in the road. This is going to be some mess over there because they're going to be killing each other now. It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah,
I could see it happening.
Oh yeah,
you know this. Yeah, so you actually agree with me. I mean, because I'm sitting here saying that, that's not going to be a bump in the road because you got people that want to die before they give into the United States, and we're going to pull away from there. And I don't know what's going to. I don't know how we're even going to get that dust because to put people on the ground with these crazy people, Brian, they're nuts. They want to kill you. They want to kill me. I mean, not for nothing. It's a total disaster. And
well, everything you're saying is right, but Germany is a little bit of a different thing because they were just the civilian areas were even bombed without recognition, beyond recognition. But Japan's a better comparison. Japan was a lot like Iran. Okay, they were religious fanatics, but they had because the emperor was a deity. But it wasn't just that. The military was a lot like the Iranian military. They were fanatical with their religious beliefs as well. And when the war was over, there were a lot of divisions between the army and the navy of Japan and the civilian government of Japan. It was a very similar. Thing. You just didn't have modern media like to. There was a 10-year military occupation of Japan, which really kind of still goes on today. But General MacArthur was the military governor of Japan up until the Korean War broke out. So it wasn't as smooth sailing as it seems looking back with Japan or Germany.
No, but that's what I'm saying. We had to occupy it to keep them to. So they.
I mean, what about the Berlin airlift because of the Soviets? I mean, there were a lot of problems. People forget about all that stuff.
Yeah, but it's the difference between problems and when, in other words, I'm going to say this. I believe that and nobody's going to agree with me here. I believe we need boots on the ground. I've always thought that because I believe that there's enough crazy people over there that it's not going to be settled.
This is the thing. The Muslim culture is not compatible with our culture. We agree. I mean, there's no, and that's not, some people may say, oh, that's racist or whatever. No, it's just not. The cultures are too different to be compatible, which is really frightening when we've been able to get along with the Japanese, but we can't get along with them. It's just an incompatible culture to Western civilization. It just is.
Let me throw something at you that you might know about, you might not know about. Tucker Carlson, this is pretty good because I saw the response.
You talking about with Patrick Bet-David?
Yeah, you see the response?
Yeah. I'm going to do more on that maybe later today. I'm going to let that play out a little bit more.
Carlson, I like that money deal that he made. That Tucker Carlson, let's see where your money's coming from, you and your wife. So. He's not going to go along with that.
Patrick Bet-David, Tucker Carlson is making a big mistake trying to go up against Patrick Bet-David. Patrick Bet-David is a very well organized man with unlimited financial resources. He's not, you know what I mean? So he could really expose Tucker Carlson in ways that Tucker really does not want to be exposed. He should be very worried about Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah, I love that response because that response called him out, but it called him out in such a beautiful way. Such a beautiful way. I mean, it's like,
well, he knows something.
Money where your mouth
he
is.
Knows something.
Yeah, he knows that. I think Tucker Carlson is bought out by the Muslims. He even mentioned, if you want to become a Muslim, that's on you. I'm all American.
Mm-hmm.
He's 100% behind President Trump. And like I said the other day, he had his guy with the beard, the comedian. He turned on Trump. I'm sorry. He still believes, he's so stupid. He believes that this war is all about the people of Iran. It's not. It's about the oil and everything else. President Trump is
Rich, it's been so long since the embassy takeover and everything. We got 2-3 generations of Americans who they're adults and they don't have proper perspective on what we've gone through with Iran over the last 47 years. They just don't understand.
47 years. The original, you were a kid. The original embarrassment when they took our hostages. we were like impotent, and Jimmy Carter looked like a total
You know,
fool.
I
That's why he
gotta
lost that
tell you,
election.
I was in third grade when you know, I remember all of that. Like it, in fact, at that, how old are you in third grade, guys? Like 9? You know, interesting thing. It was such a big deal that even though I was in the third grade, when I still lived in Columbus, Ohio, when I was around that age, my most vivid, let me put everybody on hold here. My most vivid memories of that age are the hostages. And, you know, I mentioned this a few times. We had this thing where every day, you know, once a week, we brought in newspaper stories and we shared. I was in third grade. And I remember a girl had the front page of the newspaper and it had the blindfolded hostages. And we had the candles in the windows and ribbons around trees. Remember all that stuff? And Walter Cronkite, day 135, America held hostage. It's so strange because I was like 8, 9, 10 years old, and it's some of the most vivid memories of my childhood. People don't realize what a big deal. Yeah, Jimmy Carter screwed us.
We bumbled. He bumbled the rescue with the helicopters in the desert. We looked so bad that's why he lost the election. Ronald Reagan. It wasn't the economy that killed him. It was the fact that. It was the fact that the Iranians, we did nothing.
And think about that. That was just a few years after Watergate, and the Republicans came back with the Reagan Revolution because it was so human. You know, Jimmy Carter. They took our embassy because for a number of reasons, but one of the things, Jimmy Carter did not allow the Marines at the embassy to have bullets for their weapons. So the Marines at the embassy could not fight back and protect. There's a TV movie that is probably on YouTube. Yeah. Some of the one of the Marines got some of the embassy workers out of the embassy during the attack, and they made their way to the Canadian embassy. There's a TV movie. It's called. It's something like this. I can't remember the Iranian hostage crisis, the Canadian caper. It's something the Canadian caper. And this Marine who had no bullets in his gun got about 10 or 12 American embassy workers out of the embassy. Went to and it's a play to this. They went to some other embassies of our allies who wouldn't take them in. Right, some of the European embassies, they wouldn't take our people in. The Canadians did and smuggled them out as Canadians. People forget how. And what about that movie? Remember Argo? That came out a few years ago. You know, go back and watch some of these over the weekend. It won't capture the flavor of it, but and watch Reagan's first inauguration when Jimmy Carter walks out. He's still president for like 60 more seconds, and they say, "Are the hostages released yet?" No, we're waiting. We're waiting. You know, I mean, it was unbelievable.
Brian, there's a guy on YouTube. I forgot. He's a foreigner. He wasn't an American. He went to the embassy, United States Embassy. You know, they have it.
I know, it's a museum.
It's a museum, and it shows how we ran. We ran, and the typewriters that were there, we left all of this stuff. Your papers scattered on the floor. They brag about this.
I know, it's awful. Just same thing in Saigon with our embassy in Saigon. Same crap, you know, in Saigon.
Yeah, brag about what they did to us. I mean, and thank God for President Trump, because even Ronald Reagan, when they bombed the barracks and they were behind that, all those Marines died. It was my birthday in 1983. I mean, October.
People forget about that. I mean, that was so bad. It was a truck bomb. Oh my goodness.
247 Marines died in that barracks, man, while they were sleeping.
83.
And let me tell you something. Ronald Reagan did nothing.
No. Nothing. Nothing.
They hit nothing.
Not a thing.
The coal, and nobody did that
either.
Finally we got a Democrat.
And don't forget, Richie. They did the you know, remember General Soleimani's the one that came up with the IEDs for the Iraqis to use against us. I mean, you know, come on.
But you know what the left does? All they say is all Netanyahu's fault, the Jews. That's the most amazing.
Well, I don't know if you guys noticed, but President Trump told Netanyahu to lay off Lebanon. So who's bossing who around, guys? It looks like Trump's telling Netanyahu what to do.
Yeah, but let's see what happens here.
The thing with Tucker and listen, the thing with Tucker and Patrick Bet-David, I'll be covering that, but I'm going to let that play out a little bit because you know Patrick Bet-David's an Iranian American, and he's here in South Florida, not too far from me. And I've been saying for a long time, he should have me as a guest on his show in studio. Patrick Bente.
He offered Tucker Carlson the job because he said he runs 400 companies. This guy,
yeah,
and he says he's not a media man. He decided to do this on his own. He loves the country.
Yeah,
but he runs 400 countries.
Companies.
And I was thinking when he said he offered Tucker, I wish he would offer you something because you're pretty decent at it. I mean, not for nothing. Somebody ought to, if they have any connection with him, they should let him catch you because you're close. I mean, it's amazing.
Oh man, I know. I could be at his studio. I could be at his studio probably in 15 minutes.
But the last thing I'm going to say to you, though,
maybe less.
I sort of disagree with what you're going to do. That you're going to let it play out because I think you could play it in stages as.
Oh no! I'm not going to wait till it's done. I mean, I'm not going to cover it today. I might this afternoon or tomorrow get into it because I want to talk about what's going on with Trump and Iran this morning. But maybe this afternoon or tomorrow I'll get more into it. I don't mean like wait a week or two or a month. No. But I want to celebrate our victory over Iran.
Yeah, question. The negotiating team, are they going to live or are they going to die?
It's iffy. They better get out of Iran and head to Islamabad real quick because they're calling them traitors. They're calling them traitors. Well, people, there's this thing. A lot of people go around saying, "Oh, the Iranians are behind us." They don't, and they haven't just been brainwashed for the last 47 years. The Ayatollah, the Islamic Revolution was years in the making. Okay. So, you've got 50, 60 years of brainwashing that's been going on of the Iranians. There's a lot of fanatical people that are on the side of the Islamic. Yeah. Don't assume the Iranian people are on our side. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They want to die. The ones that negotiating, they're thinkers. These other ones are fanatics, and the fanatics are still behind all of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We're going to see.
We'll find out.
I mean, this is what we had to negotiate with. I think they're all going to get whacked out.
It depends on where they. It depends on where they are. But no, I'm not. The thing on the Tucker, I just don't want Today's Show to hijack it because that story to hijack Today's Show. That's all.
All right. You have a good weekend.
Absolutely.
I don't know when you're coming on again. I'll wait for one of you.
I don't know.
As
news breaks.
On my phone.
Exactly. Keep the notification clicks. All right. Take care. By the way, guys, those of you watching on YouTube, make sure you like the video. It's so important, guys. Liking the video is what gets my channel recommended to people that have not yet found me. So it's very important. Please like the video. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll free and it's pinned in the live chat. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Oh, hey, Mike.
Here's how you know the deal is done. If the deal weren't done, he wouldn't be going to Pakistan. That the deal is done, and it's all about the signing. And look, here's the deal. Just remember with Pakistan, that he helped negotiate a peace between Pakistan and India, who are two nuclear powers who have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
And I will bet you one thing. I will bet you that after he goes to Pakistan, he's going to swing by India and say hello to them. But that's neither here nor there. But this deal is done, and it doesn't matter what England says or what France says or what Chuck Schumer says.
Mm-hmm.
The deal is done.
Absolutely. All right, Mike, I appreciate the call. Take care. All right, now listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to share. It's the Brian Craig Show. My name is Brian. Thanks for joining. And remember, the Brian Craig Show is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for the Brian Craig Show. If you want to catch the show live in video form where you hear me taking the calls, that's on YouTube. Go to YouTube and search for the Brian Craig Show. We'll be right back. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Tune in right now because the world's most incredible cars deserve an inside look. Royal Car Society on all podcast platforms. You're on the air with All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so let's get back to it. What's going on inside Iran right now? A lot of scared people. This is from Jesse Waters. He had a ex-intelligence officer on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, that's, if you noted, that's the whole Iranian game plan always. When they're not blowing stuff up and killing people, they have fake negotiations and try to drag everything out, right? They figure, and they try to drag everything out until another president comes in. That's not going to fly this time. You know, it's amazing how cash strapped the Iranians are, right? You know, and I guess they've never had a surplus because they're funding all this terrorism everywhere, and then they probably steal it for themselves. And when you have a terrorist government, you have to pay a lot of people a lot of money to stay. They're not loyal to you; they're loyal to the money. But it never seemed to bother them because they had that oil revenue coming in, however much it was a day. This guy says hundreds of millions of dollars a day, so it was coming in every day. And President Trump's the first one to cut it off. And look at just a few days for them to collapse. I mean, it did more. The blockade did more damage in many ways than the airstrikes. Yep, because they're fanaticals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, that's what Richie was talking about. That's the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. See, there's no clear leader. The civilian government doesn't really have authority over the Revolutionary Guard. You know, they have two armies, all right? The one army is the regular army, right? That, you know, it's supposed to defend the country in time of war. And then they have a whole nother army, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And what they protect, the army of the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, they protect the revolution. Okay, so these are hardcore fanatics, and all these, the foreign minister and the president and the others we're dealing with in Iran, have all committed the worst treason you could commit, and they've also committed religious crimes against them and the revolution. So there's no leadership there, and it's very likely, it's highly likely, depending on where they are, that the Revolutionary Guard will kill all of the civilian leaders that we're talking to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was some pretty good analysis from that guy, I must say. He's telling us what's going on, and you know, and I don't think the president minds that. I think the president is very happy with the Iranians killing one another. He doesn't care for the civilian government any more than he cares for the Revolutionary Guard. So I don't think President Trump minds them killing each other. Do you? Now, all right, let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Jocelyn out of California.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine. So, in regards to this, I think we actually spoke about this. The Iranian army is going to basically have to come into play. I mean, they're the only ones who haven't been targeted, and they obviously know the land, and they obviously know who the IRGC members are.
Yeah.
And they're just going to have to take them out, and they're going to have to make it. Basically, they're going to have to intervene so that the Iranian people can go ahead and rise up. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I understand the concept of thinking that boots on the ground are going to be, you know, perhaps a necessity, but I think that before that even comes into play, I think that the Iranian army needs to actually be the ones that intervene first, and that's because of their knowledge.
Well, we don't know. You know, we don't know who's left in charge of the army, right? I don't even know if the president knows, and
I probably would think that they know more in regards than obviously they're letting on, because to be completely honest, they're basically the only members of that leadership area that, like I said, they haven't been targeted and nobody's actually talking about them, but they know who they are.
Well, while the army hasn't been, that's true and not true. While we haven't targeted the regular army troops, we've taken out, you know, these rockets and everything, and a lot of these weapons were manned by the Iranian regular army. And in these government centers we've taken out a lot of their leadership, senior leadership, no doubt. So to say that we haven't targeted their army is, we haven't targeted the regular troops, but they're the ones that have been manning the drones and the rockets and everything else, I would assume, for the most part.
I was under the impression that it was mainly the IRGC.
It's a mix. The IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, they have a standing army, and they had their own air force too, separate from the regular air. There was the Iranian Air Force and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Air Force. So they have actually two separate air forces, armies, and even naval vessels before all this happened.
Well, there seems to be some issue in regards to communication. obviously you have a huge, gigantic division, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to a civil war sort of situation. So basically, those individuals within that army are going to basically, from my understanding, they were supposed to be identifying with the Iranian people and the Iranian country, not so much the individuals that were part of the leadership that had been targeted and eventually taken out. Because it appears to be that the individuals who are negotiating are completely on a different planet than the IRGC. So I just, it's,
no, you're right. No, you're right about all that.
So they're completely either playing games, which I really don't anticipate them doing as far as the individuals who are negotiating, because it seems.
Well, the Revolutionary Guard. Okay, that old bumper sticker you can take. We have here. You can take my gun from my cold dead hand. That the Revolutionary Guard. That's how they think. They surrender. Capitulation is all completely off the table. They'll die first. But what's going on right now is this, where they're killing each other inside Iran. And the ones that are killing each other are the leadership, right? The civilian leadership with the IRGC. This is why you don't put boots on the ground. When you put troops in, you unify them together against the troops. Since we don't have troops there, they're fighting each other.
Listen, if we were to actually just stay there for a month in the blockade, it would decimate that place.
Sagwa, come here, Sagwa. My daughter's cat is, my daughter's in California. She's coming back this weekend, and her cat, that's about 15 or 16, she's been staying with us, and she's going around the house looking for my daughter, calling her name. Meow. If you hear the meows in the back, that's my daughter's cat looking for my daughter. She'll be home this weekend, Sagwa. It's okay. She's upset. I tell you, my daughter's cat is like attached to her, like nobody's business.
You had cats named after soda, right?
After what?
Soda.
So yeah, I have Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Yeah. Pepsi, Coca-Cola. Yeah, that's two of them. Yeah. I actually, the cat Pepsi, because Mark Levin had a dog named Pepsi that he wrote a book about many years ago.
Really?
And I always thought, oh man, that's a great name for a dog or a pet. I'd like to. And when my daughter lived at home, whenever we got a pet, she named them. So, so when we got these kittens, it was the first time we had pets since my daughter grew up and moved out. So, so I got to name them. So I wanted to name one Pepsi. So we had two of them. So I said, well, let's name one Pepsi Cola and the other Coca-Cola. So Pepsi's Pepsi and Coca-Cola, we call him Coca-Cola. Yeah, I know. But my daughter's cat Sangwa is just missing her. Like every morning she walks around the house, meow, meow. And when I'm on the radio, it's a little, sometimes I got to cut the commercial, because when I'm in my home studio here. Yeah, exactly.
You know Trump better than anybody.
Yes.
So what's your Notre Dame?
On what? You got to be more specific than that.
Well, I mean, how is he like?
I saw him last night. I mean, I'm sure you watched him. You saw President Trump at the Turning Point event in Arizona last night. He looked great. Like he didn't have a worry in the world.
Oh no, he completely does. But I mean, I guess
that's the best he's looked in a while. Because, you could tell the last couple of weeks he's been tired. I think he's been up all night because he's been working on Iranian time, because he's been working with governments and generals and admirals and things that are over there. And last night at Turning Point was the first time I've seen him like totally well rested in a few weeks.
Okay, so I'm getting the impression from that comment that he's not worried about anything.
No. And I think he likes the idea that they're killing each other in Iran, that the military and civilian government are each other's throat. I think, because these civilian leaders are not credible people. They're just, they just don't want to get blown up. But some of them might have had their throats cut since the agreement was made. These revolution, the people that are 2 weeks ago, it was 2 Saturdays ago, we took out 50 leaders of the Revolutionary Guard. like their senior leaders in the Revolutionary Guard.
Right.
And when you take them
Right.
out, you're also taking out their staff. So whoever is in charge of the Revolutionary Guard today were low-ranking officers 6 weeks ago, right? And now they're running the thing for the most part. So they are hardcore fanatics that know no other way.
I heard that there were some actual instances of the Iranian people actually taking out some IRGC people too.
I hope. I don't know. I mean, they don't have weapons. Hey, listen, I got to run,
No,
but I appreciate the call. All right, you take it. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll free 888-465-2631. If you're watching on YouTube live, the toll free number is pinned in the live chat, so you can call in. All right, we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show. Thanks for joining. Make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. And those of you on YouTube, please like the video. All right, so the Turning Point event last night I thought was amazing. And Erica Kirk spoke, very impressive. Let me play a clip of her, then I want to talk about this a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Erica Kirk, she did a great job last night, and her speech was, as was Rush Limbaugh's wife, who was there. Erica Kirk, all these people that have been giving her a hard time, shame on you. She was never the front person for Turning Point, and I think she did a masterful job. And you may have noticed she's doing her hair and makeup and dressing differently than we've seen her before. And she was she came up through the beauty pageants and everything. And to Erica Kirk, being on stage, she was a pageant girl. And now you can see she's taken over the role of being, I guess a CEO. She's doing a very good job. And what I saw at Turning Point last night, I thought gave a lot of hope that they're going to be effective and stay operational. You got to understand. Remember, the Never Trumpers assassinated Charlie Kirk so that they could destroy Turning Point and the good work they're doing. All right, now this is News Nation last night talking about the Iran surrender. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this what she said, and I agree with some of what she said, not all of it, but one of the things she said though that is just we're following because of the modern media technology. We're following every utterance, every syllable, every dot over every I too closely. This war has been fought, won, and is being resolved quicker and cleaner than any other war in any of our lifetimes. And the media, the Trump hating media, are always going to portray everything that happens as a negative. A lot of these stories coming out of Iran, oh, we're not going to hand over the dust. We're not going to do this. We're going to keep the blockade up. A lot of that is Iranian propaganda to their own people. They don't want their own people to know that they've surrendered to President Trump, okay? So it's a face-saving measure. And the media, because they hate Trump, want to take the Iranian propaganda and turn that into this is the reality, right? Because that's what they want to believe. The Trump hating, Trump derangement suffering fake news media want to believe that the United States lost, that Trump lost, and that Iran won. So they grab onto that. Here's the president at Turning Point last night.
7 months ago, our country lost a fearless warrior, my friend, freedom, and he was just an amazing man. He was an amazing person, Charlie Kirk. Charlie was murdered by a cruel and vicious assassin who believed that by silencing his voice, he could kill an entire giant movement.
Mm-hmm.
Standing here today, it's clear to see that Charlie's voice is not silenced. It's roaring and roaring back, louder, frankly, than ever before. His message is unstoppable. His mission is totally unstoppable, and his movement is forget it. It's not going to happen any other way but success. It's amazing what he's done. He was such a great friend of mine. We talked all the time. We speak all the time. We talked about politics. We talked about God. We talked about everything you could talk about. He was a special person. I want to say thank you. We love that man. Together we're making America great again, and this November we're going to win the midterms.
Yeah. This is just a phenomenal thing, this Turning Point event last night, because, the hope that they've had is that Turning Point would fall apart. And what you're seeing is that it's strong, right? It's very strong. And I just want to mention, a listener, Annette, sent me a package to the radio station I got the other day, sent me a whole bunch of stuff. And one of the things she sent me, I haven't started reading it yet, but I will, is Charlie Kirk's final book, Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. And I'm going to read this book. It's Charlie Kirk's last book, and I want to thank Annette for sending it to me. And I'm definitely going to be reading that. It's so important to support Turning Point. And, when we saw what happened with CPAC at their recent event, it looks to me like CPAC's going to be replaced by Turning Point. Now, listen, I'm going to take a quick break. When we get back, I've got a lot more to get into. All right, I'm Brian. It's the Brian Craig Show podcast. Back after this. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. All right, so let's get back to the president last night at Turning Point, right after the surrender of Iran.
And now that the hormone strain situation is almost over, I received a call from NATO asking
Insane.
if you would like some help. Thank you very much, NATO. And I told them I would have liked your help 2 months ago, but now I really don't want your help anymore.
Exactly. Agreed.
Because they were absolutely useless when we needed them. But actually,
Yeah, that's right. For the life of me, I could not believe the nerve that England and France had to come out and act as if they won this war against Iran that they weren't even a part of. When I was talking about at the beginning of the show, what England and France are trying to do is get the media records filled with them declaring victory so that the historical record gives them credit, or at least partial credit, and it doesn't all go to our favorite president.
This will be a great and brilliant day for the world because Iran has just announced that the Strait of Hormuz is fully open and ready for business at full blast. But the naval blockade with the greatest navy in the world, from the greatest military the world has ever seen.
That's right.
We built it during my first term. We built it. They said I was crazy. We weren't so crazy, were we? Will remain in full force and effect as it pertains to Iran until such time as our transaction with Iran is 100% complete and fully signed. And this process, we're getting along well, but who knows? Who knows with anyone, but who knows with Iran in particular?
That's for sure.
This process should go very quickly, and that most of the points are already negotiated and agreed to. We'll be very happy. The USA will get all nuclear dust. You know what the nuclear dust is? That was that white powdery substance created by our B-2 bombers, those great B-2 bombers, late one evening 7 months ago. No money will exchange hands in any way, shape, or form. Iran will be, and you know how we're going to get the dust? Iran, we're going to take it anyway. But taking it that way is slightly more dangerous. But we're going to get it anyway. But Iran, with the help of the USA, has removed or is removing all of the sea mines. And most importantly, it never agreed, and you'll understand, they will never have a nuclear weapon. They will never have a nuclear weapon.
That's right. Now, I want to talk to you guys, about this. This is very important stuff. If you saw President Trump's full speech last night, like I did, it was one of his best speeches ever. I mean, it was just great. And doesn't he, like I was talking about earlier, doesn't he look great? All these leftist and never Trumpers and fake media people that have been saying that MAGA's over and the midterms are lost. Does President Trump look like the midterms are lost? Does he look like MAGA's over? MAGA's never been so strong and so large. Okay, MAGA is going to stay here for the rest of our lives, and what this program's about is a lot of things. But I'm MAGA for life. How many of you are MAGA for life? How could you be against Making America Great Again forever and ever and ever, right? And what this program's dedicated to, I say, the Brian Craig Show podcast where MAGA comes to talk. That's absolutely true. And one of the main objectives of this program is to support the MAGA movement for the rest of my life. And it's so important. This midterm election, we've got it if we swamp them at the polls, just like 2024. President Trump's reelection is a miracle. Having the two non-consecutive terms happened only once before, and it was in the 1800s. They tried to put him in jail. They arrested him. They got mugshots. They shot him. They tried to shoot him a second time. They broke into his home, broke into his personal safe, went through Melania's closet, tossed Barron's room, all the things they put him through, sued him, all kinds of stuff in different parts of the country, New York, Georgia, D.C., Miami. It's been endless, right? And he came back and he won re-election. Things have been moving so fast. I think sometimes, we may lose sight of that. What has President Trump suffered through to get where he is right now, especially in the second term, right? He's the only president we've had that's lost money being president. The other ones have gotten into it and have enriched themselves. He's lost money being president because he's dedicated himself to that. But the MAGA movement, we need the MAGA movement to be here forever and ever and ever. And it's so important. We have the majority of the American people on our side. All the polls show it. Okay? The midterm elections, we can win it. Not only can we win and maintain control of both houses, we can gain seats in both houses if we have a massive turnout. So, a lot of what's going on here with the media, they're trying to depress our turnout, right? Creating this lie that there's a MAGA divide and all this stuff. There's no MAGA divide. MAGA has never been so united, so strong, and so large. I've been with MAGAs. I wanted President Trump to run in 2011. He was talking about running, But when he came down, I was with him then. And I've been with him since he came down the escalator like you. Since he started the MAGA movement, I've been there. But think about this. At this moment in time, when you're listening to me right now, the MAGA movement has never been as large as it is right now. That's right. So many people have been red-pilled and magatized with this second term. Since Butler to now, the MAGA movement has never been larger than it is now. This is the largest it's ever been. You know what? It's growing all the time. So don't listen to all of these fake MAGA people, these sellouts and traitors, whether it's Marjorie Trader Green or some idiot troll in my chat room or some idiot that calls me or some Joe Rogan idiot or something like that says something. The MAGA movement has never been as large as it is today, and it continues to grow each and every day. And all President Trump asks is for you to turn out and vote for the MAGA endorsed candidates that he brings us in the midterms, and we can gain seats in the House. We really, truly can. So, guys, if you're watching me on YouTube, please like the video. Liking the video is so important. It's what gets the video shared with people that have not yet found the channel. So please like the video. If you're new, subscribe. And if you're listening on one of the podcast platforms other than YouTube, because the Brian Craig Show podcast is available wherever you get podcasts, make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I will talk to you next time. Take care.